Welcome, 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 everyone, all you crazy, amazing humans, to the Crazy Amazing Humans podcast, where we make it our mission to find and highlight the good in the world and the people who make that happen.
Right. It's no surprise that there is bad news in the world. And while we don't want to pretend it's not there, we also know that there's plenty of good news in the world that doesn't receive the same kind of attention. And that's why we have this podcast.
That is right. Thank you, Jefferson. So today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are going to talk about fatherhood, prompted, of course, by Father's Day season, which we are in right now. And that's why I thought it would be great to talk to two of my favorite fathers, ones that I admire so much. And of course, they're right here with us. I've got my hubby and our producer, Ken Carlson, and our co-host, Jefferson Denim. Okay, you guys ready to get crazy amazing?
Yes,
are you ready? Okay, all right.
Bring it on.
Okay.
Bring it, girlfriend.
Okay, so my first question for you, how happy are you both that you've gotten vasectomies?
Yeah, very. I can remember that when we had Ruby, the idea of getting a vasectomy was a great one, and I went out and did some research, called some friends, and they told me who to go visit, and I did, and I want to let everybody know, you've been through this process, but I went in and I
Well, first of all, I had no idea he was doing this. He was completely researching, got the number, was on the phone. I'm hearing him with a doctor on the phone. He's leaving the house. He's going to an appointment. He comes back. And I'm like, what's going on? And then he's like, oh, yeah.
After the third birth, I thought you'd be on board with it.
I was totally on
after
board.
watching that, I thought she's going to give me such.
I was like, I think it's been like a month since Ruby was born. But okay, yeah. I did give you 3 thumbs.
But you didn't tell her what you were up to?
I went out and did it.
He just did it. He took care of business.
And one of the things I had to do, though, and you most likely had to do it too, is they had this little instructional, these directions for how to prepare for this.
I'm sitting funny just listening. But
and
okay,
so we had to shave, right? Did you have to do? Yeah. So I shaved and I went in. I was pretty proud because I've sorry to say, I've never done that before.
Right. Yeah, I had no idea this was happening.
And the nurse came in and she looked under the hood and she said, "I give you a D- for your shaving." And I was like, wait a minute, that's how we started the whole thing.
Oh my gosh.
D-.
A D- for shaving. So I guess I didn't use a mirror. That would have been a good idea. But I came home walking bull-legged and you looked at me and you said, "Did you get it done?" I'm like, "Yep." I said, "Do you have a problem with that?" You said, "Nope." And we just moved on. Can you beat that?
I don't. Well, I'm not going to try to beat it, but I will be honest. First of all, I'm going to say.
I'm scared.
First of all, I'm going to say I developed a new appreciation for what women go through when talking about stirrups. I'm talking specifically stirrups.
That's so funny. Men finally in their stirrups.
Right? Come on. Okay.
Do you have a
photo? No. Actually, the doctor and the nurse took a photo of like, please don't get a patient like this guy. Anyway, so yes, I did the shave thing. I get in there, and I'm not really sure. I was told, by the way, it's easier for a guy to get that done than for a woman to get her tubes tied. So I think, all right, I'll take one for the team. I'll do that. And only when I was in that gown and looking at the stirrups did I think this is a horrible mistake.
And then they tell you it's going to take, you can get it reversed, but it takes like 6 hours. And there's only a low percentage that'll work, right?
So I get in there and I'm in the stirrups and they're saying, okay, we're going to numb you up. And I'm like, thank God. And they go, can you feel that? I go, yes, I can still feel that. Can you feel that? Yes, I can still feel that. Really? And then they stopped asking. I could still feel it.
Oh my gosh.
I almost bit through this knuckle right
here.
No,
really? Were you like...
I'm feeling tug. I'm just,
Okay,
guys,
this is what the dads go through this, people.
Imagine.
We're whining, but it's
I know. It's not like giving birth. I get that.
No, but I love it. Like, it's
and
good
how
to hear
about with the cauterizing, that smell?
Oh, that's fun.
You're like, ooh, wow, that's me.
Yeah, burning flesh in the morning. So my last little story about this, 2 weeks later, tell me if you had to do this, you had to, in a cup, so they could see there's no swimmers. So I'm in a long line now.
Oh my gosh.
I'm in a long line to get this checked, right? And so it's a crowded room. I get up to the front of the line, and the woman's like, "So what are you doing?" I go, I'm turning in some semen. And she goes, urine? No. And there's everybody's around me. No, I'm turning in some semen. Some urine? I go, No, it's semen.
You win.
Oh my gosh. And then everything was fine. What was it like becoming a dad? And Jefferson, why don't you start?
Well, I'll say it this way, and maybe families can relate. It was tough, and here's why. We were all excited with the first pregnancy, miscarriage. Get pregnant a second time, miscarriage. We were all ready to hear the heartbeat, and the doctor said there's no heartbeat. We got to do what's it called?
A DNC is
right now. Right now. So they wheeled, here we're all excited to hear the heartbeat. And then, so I get on the payphone, you know, I'm that old, to call my mom, and she says hello, and I just bawled into the phone. So
that's part of being a dad.
Right. So by the third time, we were nervous, apprehensive, but by then, you know, you're just hoping everything's going to be okay. And I just got to say this to families who maybe experience miscarriages. It's totally normal, but we had this one doctor say, oh, you need to spend thousands to make sure the third one is. And I'm like, I was so angry when this doctor was selling me. He knew I was in a bad way.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I stormed out of that den. And we found a different doctor who said, this is normal.
Just relax, yeah.
And sure enough, third time's the charm. So then we had our son.
And then you had Garrison.
So it was a little arduous to get there. And then, I don't know, becoming a dad, I was kind of like, it was a bit of a start and stop thing. And then it was magical.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it. It's magical. You know, I made a slideshow for Katrina, for us, that we watched on a laptop before, leading up to giving birth. And the first one, though, was C-section. But we watched that, several times, and it was very meaningful because it was pictures of the two of us, and family, but really the two of us.
Yeah.
And then it ended in this, pregnancy, and in the final days, and it was at the premiere of The Father of the Bride.
Right.
And so it was very emotional to watch that, but then to have this beautiful entity, really airlifted out, perfect baby,
Right.
to have this entity, then you say, okay, that slideshow is like totally, old. It's
Right.
it's antiquated. Now we have this third, and it really ushered in to me this a sense of responsibility, of joy, so many mixed emotions, and needing to take care of her because I know that she had surgery. So it brought in a lot, but I think a great way to put it is magical, because all of a sudden the gift of life, of birth in front of you, which is amazing, and to hold that entity, knowing that it's, part her, part me, and I did very little to get it out. And to bring it 9 months, but so I think just saying it was an exceptional experience. I think it's an understatement, but and it's been a great ride ever since. 28 years.
Amazing. I love it. And I'll just say for this, leading up to the birth, Ken was there with me 100%. So he did a lot getting us to that point.
The birthing classes were a trip, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, those were fun. We met some really good friends.
Yeah,
it was really special.
The great thing about the birthing class, real quick,
that was
is
important.
That it basically said, all the he, ha, ha, ho, all the breathe and everything, throw that out. Some of it worked, but for us, C-section.
Right. Yeah, we had.
But it was ultimately about you, me. We're having a kid. We're taking an hour or two out of our day, realizing that we're going to have to take a lot of the week. It's going to be a lot more time than that from this point forward when we have this child. So it really made us focus, centered us, and made us, I think some better parents.
And being the youngest of 11, I babysat a little bit, but I didn't know how to take care of a baby. And I had no idea.
You and Sue.
No.
We were here by ourselves.
Yeah. We were in LA by ourselves. So were you. Well, Sue had her family. Has her family
but she said, oh my gosh, and Ken, you maybe heard this too. You're going to be great with kids. I see you with kids. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what to do.
I know.
Sue said. And all of a sudden, kicked in.
Yeah. And plus, there were some classes where we actually learned how to do diapers, how to do this, how to do that. So that was really important. The burrito, wrapping them up. Okay, so what are some of the most important lessons you've learned from your own fathers? Do you want to go, Ken?
Sure. I would have to say that my father gave me the gift and taught me about faith, and that was a big deal. My father's a minister, so it was kind of more natural for him. But we exercised our faith in many ways. We prayed together as a family. We ate together as a family. We sang before and a lot of times after. And that was a big deal. In fact, we do that with our kids when they were younger, especially, and all under one roof. We had dinner time as a very special time, and we sang before every meal and prayed. And that was really important to me, and my father really orchestrated that. And sometimes it went on a little too long, and sometimes it was, there were things that you wanted to do and you would daydream. But ultimately, I think he gave me the gift of faith, and he loved me, he cared for me, and he was responsible, with our lives, with my brother and me, and for our family. And so, those are the things. Those are the takeaways that I have.
Okay, Jefferson.
My answer to that is a little different. As the audience may know, you already know, I had a celebrity father, pro football player father, who was... Okay, let me answer the question, which is, what lessons did I learn from my father? Here it is. Do the opposite.
Wow.
You may not believe me. You might think that's an overstatement, but I'll tell you what. I do the opposite of what, like, he would be a hero to strangers. And I thought, I'm going to be a hero to my family, and strangers may not like me as much. So that's just one example of many. Show up, and I mean, there's lots of things. But I would think, what would Dick Shafrath do? I'm doing the opposite, and it's almost always the right thing.
Okay, Jefferson.
Wow.
And that makes me sad, but you are such an amazing father, so good on you to have gotten having that, to rise above that, and to be the kind of dad you are, and how much you sacrifice for your family, and how much you love on them and keep things upbeat, and have fun and raise two beautiful kids.
Thank you, Kat. And
I'm so blessed.
I want to say that if someone doesn't have a great father, you can break the cycle. You can do it. You can do it.
That's right.
Thank you, Jefferson.
And I grew up thinking having a father like that would be legendary.
Well, everyone does.
Oh, right, because
Ken
was a big
I
football
played
player.
football, and I looked up to these guys. They were gods. And I thought, if I could have my father didn't know how to throw a football, didn't know how to shoot a basket, was not an athlete, was good at many other things, but he wasn't good at that, and that's what I wanted. But to see, but maybe I was wanting something that,
be careful what you wish for, I guess.
Be careful what you wish for. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know, I always think there's that distance between, and I love the saying that says, it's not having what you want, it's wanting what you have.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily applicable here, because what you had for a father, he, like you have said, he was a sperm donor, right?
You bet.
Yeah.
Fatherhood is more than being a sperm donor.
Right.
My siblings, we all call him the sperm donor because he wasn't a dad per se. I mean, yeah. Anyway.
So, that's not, but it is, I love to think of that saying, by the way, of like not having what you want, but wanting what you have. And I think that's like just an important thing to throw out there right now.
It is applicable, Kat, because then you're looking at I was looking at my situation, and I go, okay, I don't have the ideal situation, but what do I have? Okay. And I built from there.
Okay,
so
good. And that's why you overcame everything and were able to
I love that quote.
have a healthy relationship. How long have you been married to Sue?
We got married in 88.
Okay.
Math is not my strong suit.
Okay, so let's see.
What is that?
36 years.
36 years.
Ken's really good with that. And we would be, because we were born in we were married in 1990.
Make me feel older, Kat.
So no.
You were born when you got married.
we put off our marriage until 1990 just so we could be on an even year, zero.
Yeah,
so
that
we could always calculate.
That way I can do the math. No, Ken is good with it. I'm not.
Why didn't I think of that?
I am not. No, it's really
so
good. I don't know why you didn't wait till
together 39. So.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
So yeah. So my point of that is, you've had a healthy relationship with your wife, and you created this whole thing. And you're
and she is a saint.
She is a saint. I just told her today. I woke up, and I usually do, waking up with such gratitude for my life.
Oh.
And she's the main reason why.
Right. And well, you came from a divorced family, so
I did.
Yes, and so did I. So and then Ken's parents are still married. How long have your parents been married?
64 years.
Bob and Mill,
years,
64, 65 years.
Hey, Kat,
amazing.
Can I ask you a question? You just shared that you're from a divorced family. What was it like for you growing up? Because your father was not around for you either.
No, my dad was always working.
What did you have as a concept of a father?
he was like that. He was like the hero to everyone. He really was. And he was like a legend. And so he built a big company, and everyone was just like, your dad is amazing. And I'm like, great. So I sort of kind of felt buoyed by the fact that he was amazing. And he was, like, oh, my dad's fantastic. So I'm going to have to be fantastic, and everyone's fantastic around me. And like, we're important. We're a special family. I mean, honestly, that's, as a kid, what I was thinking. And so there were definitely pivotal times, like when it was the Girl Scout father-daughter picnic, and I remember it coming up, and I remember the planning, and I thought, okay, well, my dad's not going to be there because my dad's never here. He's working. He's doing very important things. I'm not important enough for him, but like what he's doing is important, and everyone's telling me that's a good thing. So I know that whatever's happening is good. He doesn't need to be with me. I have my mom, and I was very, very clinging to my mom. And so my mom was, there for me every day. And of course, you take them for granted too. It was really not positive in that sense too, because you have no one telling you your mom is so special, right? So I had no one, and no one was telling my mom that. So I think that's also very sad, because she had all these kids and all these things to juggle, and she wasn't prepared. But
your perspective as a daughter, I just think that's fascinating too. What your dad
and then
when
my parents got divorced, it was devastating, because even though my dad wasn't around, but this father-daughter picnic thing, he said he was going to go. Like somehow my mom said, oh no, he's going to come. So I mean, I was waiting up till the very, very last minute for him to show up, and he never showed up. And then I never got to go, because like no one came to get me. I mean, I don't know where my mom was, but I didn't even go. But I originally thought, oh, I'll get someone else's dad or something. But no, that was devastating to me. And that was like an inflection point for me, where I was like, that was upsetting. That made me feel very sad. And kind of going forward, like I can never count on my dad. I mean, he never went to one of my graduations of anything. He never saw me sing, ever.
What?
No, he never saw me sing live when I was touring and doing this stuff. So anyways, that's just to say, not everyone has that, but you can rise above it. And I honestly, I love him and forgive him for that. And like, I love him to death.
To be able to move on. Yeah, to be able to move on.
I mean, he had issues. He had mental health issues and stuff like that. And so, I'm really grateful. I love him. I wouldn't want it any other way. He's my dad, and I'm grateful.
Got it.
So that's that. Because he was so wonderful in so many ways. And when he was there, he was wonderful. He honestly was wonderful when he was there. It's just he was busy.
Right.
And so I kind of got that. Okay, so important lessons. You guys good? You feel like you covered the lessons from dads? And more will come out, I know, as we go. So outside of your own fathers, who were your role models growing up, and how did they influence your approach to fatherhood?
Growing up in Ohio, we were all about church and the church family. And there was an individual in that church family named Sam Goebel. And Sam Goebel was an amazing human. He was a financial advisor. He had made a lot of money, and we all looked up to him as this guy that we wanted to emulate. But then he did what was astonishing to me. He quit the financial services world and became a minister. He left that behind, and he had, by the way, a son that had Down syndrome. And he dedicated his life to that child and then to the ministry. And then soon after, he lost his wife in a car accident. And my father had to bury her. And this man, his resilience, his patience, and the joy that he could find in the simplest of things set me on a trajectory of wanting to emulate him, wanting to be like him, wanting to look for the good in everything. And to this day, he is still a minister, and he hasn't retired yet. And he brought so much inspiration to this young class of kids. I was only in 6th, 7th grade when I was aware of it. But the biggest lesson was patience. He had patience of a saint, and that in Ohio, in the east side of Cleveland, for young boys, we didn't see very often. So Sam Goebel, love you, brother.
Wow.
He's not the one who gave up all his.
Yeah, he gave up his career.
No, but didn't he give his money away, or didn't he give everything away? I think that's what did he do?
He the way I remember it is that when he left, he decided to not only tithe, but to give most of his wealth away. And I don't know what numbers, but he gave most of his wealth away and said, God, I put my life in your hands.
My trust and faith
and my
in you.
trust
Wow.
and faith in you, and he did, and so it was a huge leap, and we all went, and he had a partner there that was in the financial world, and he was in total disbelief that he did this, and God has taken care of him, and he has blossomed, and he's lived a very prosperous life in so many ways.
Oh,
That's walking the walk.
That is fine.
Jeez.
I was just going to say I'm very grateful for him because he's made you such a patient, wonderful person. I'm very, very grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
I would say that all my family was still in Ohio after the divorce. So we moved to Chicago, and we were like an outpost. So this is going to be an odd answer, I guess, but I would watch TV dads to try to figure out what dads do.
Uh-huh.
And I was the oldest, and so I felt the responsibility of being kind of like a father figure to my brother and my sister. So I was always trying to figure that out. And then, fortunately for me, when my mom remarried, my stepdad, George Kubin, unbelievable. He's the one that got me to reconsider and go back to college when I was floundering. And then when I got married, my wife's dad, John Parkin, I'm like, wow, that's what you do. Like he would take us all on a vacation, for example, to Hawaii. My family, my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, and then Sue's sister's family. And I'm like, this is what you do. And to this day, my kids think I'm going to do that someday for the family.
Wow.
So big thanks to George Kubin and John Parkin.
Wow. I love that.
And a few television dads.
And some
TV
television
dads. Who are
dads.
your favorite TV dads?
I'm going to show my age, but I guess Mr. Brady was one.
Yes. absolutely.
I'll tell you what's weird. And not so much that, because I could see, no, that's not my reality. But this is also weird. PSAs, public service announcements in the 60s and 70s were like, this is how you be a big brother. Don't let your younger brother take drugs. There was an ad called like Father, Like Son. And so the son and the father are doing everything together. And then he pulls out a cigarette. And so the camera stops with the kid picking up the pack of cigarettes. I go, I learned my lesson with that. So PSAs, isn't that weird?
Isn't that, it's
remember
amazing.
That very PSA.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, you know what this really shows? The influence of social media. Think of how that influenced you on TV and what our
Big
kids
time.
get on their phones
Think what
every
they
single
get
day.
every day.
Whoa, that's
That's a whole
astonishing.
nother topic.
Okay,
Oh, what's that? Wait a minute, Kat had to prompt me. Kat, I think I hear something.
what is that?
Oh, it's a sound only dads can hear.
Oh,
Is it a
really?
alarm?
Because I don't hear anything.
Boy, that was
It's really high.
Do you like that? Do you like how I just played along with that? So yes, it is now. That alarm means it's time for a dad joke break. And so prepare
Bad dad joke.
Oh, I'm glad you did that little caveat. Don't even pretend like these are good jokes. Come on. Prepare to roll your eyes. You're going to get a headache. So
No,
Ken,
wait,
you and I,
please.
here's how it's going to work. We're going to pull a joke out of the hat, not a rabbit, but a joke. And we'll read them, and we'll just see how bad they can be.
Jefferson just pulled out a lovely black top
I did.
hat.
If you're just listening, I got a lovely black top hat,
Okay,
and
go,
there's some
guys,
jokes
go.
in the hat. So,
All
Ken
right,
Carlson,
I'll
after
go
you,
first.
my friend.
Here we go. Remember, I'm not responsible for any of these. All right. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. Summer wasn't too bad either.
I love that.
All right.
That's cute. I've never heard
It's
that.
not a bad start.
You're very
Hopefully
kind,
it gets better.
Katrina. Oh, hope you're as kind to me. Okay, what's the best thing about Switzerland? I don't know, but the flag is a big plus.
Yeah.
That I like. That's
I do.
clever.
I really like that.
I like
That
that
is
one.
clever.
All right, here we go. What do you call a moose with no name? Anonymous.
Cute.
That's my wife's favorite.
Oh,
Let's
so
see.
you've read these.
Well, one or two. Okay. Hey, you two. What's brown and sticky? A stick.
That could be the best one. I
Not
admire
bad.
your wife. I
Okay,
think that's
okay.
good. All right,
Brown
maybe
and
we can
sticky.
beat it though. Maybe we can beat it.
Let's see. Let's see what you got.
Here we go. What do you call a bear with no teeth? A gummy bear.
Oh, that's so
I don't
cute.
think I don't think I beat the stick though.
I like
No.
it.
I think the stick wins. So
You know, it's not that funny when they say, "That's cute."
yeah.
No, I like that.
You're very
I
kind,
like
Katrina.
that.
All right. A horse walks into a bar. The bartender says, "Hey." The horse replies, "Sure."
You're getting all the good ones.
I know,
Am
you
I?
got
Did
the
this
bar.
work
He
out?
got, he rigged it. He
Wait a
rigged
minute.
it. He rigged it.
All right,
Okay.
here we go. This is going to be the best, though.
Okay, I'm ready.
I just found out I'm colorblind. The news came out of the purple. See?
That's a good one.
Thank you very much. Drop the mic.
That's pretty good. I mean, I got one more left. I don't think
get
I
it,
can
though.
beat that one, though. That's pretty good.
I'm a little blue.
Hey, what did the janitor say when he jumped out of the closet? Supplies!
Okay. That
Anything
was
else?
really good.
I think put that on.
I
Deborah.
loved,
There
I
you
loved your
go.
dad jokes, and you guys are really not jokes. You're real dads.
yeah, thank
You're
you.
amazing dads, and you know what's what.
Hats off to you for saying that.
Well,
Hats
nice.
off.
see
You
what you
know
did
what's
there.
what. So, what qualities do you think make a great dad?
I think I mentioned a couple already, but I think dependability or reliability, consistency, and one that I don't think you hear that often, but risk taking. And by that I mean playing with the children. And I was that guy that you would cringe when you saw throwing the kid up, eating half his meal, catching him and come down, and I was the one pushing them on a swing a little too far, a little too hard, and I was the one that roughhoused, and I think that's a big deal to have that tactile sense with the kid and know that you're going to play and get down on their level. I mean, I noticed a lot of my photographs at one point were taken from my eye level. And I thought, you know what, get down. And I apply that to children. Get in the mix. My father was actually quite good at that. My father would play with our children, his grandchildren,
yeah.
and get down on the floor and build, But so we did that. Katrina was great at that too. We built so many Thomas the Tank, train tracks, and Legos, and danced with the kids, and played soccer and Eagle Scout, scouting, and just getting in the mix
Yeah.
and taking a risk and teaching them it's okay to take a risk. Now, some risks might be a little too much and you have to, kind of apply common sense. But I'd say getting in the mix, roughhousing, and risk taking. And my last one would be humor. Adding some humor along the way, because I think humor bonds. They say, the old Reader's Digest is, laughter is the best medicine, and I really believe that. And so I try to bring that to the family, a little bit of
You
humor.
definitely do.
I'm not quite as funny as this guy, but
Don't let him kid you. That's not true.
But I think it's really important, and it reminded me of the one thing that I did as a father that was funny, and I look back at it and think it was quite humorous. Is when we were in Machu Picchu on the train. Do you remember that? And we're cruising along, and they, for some reason, they thought it would be cool because it was a 3-hour, captivated audience. They they'd be cool to have a little fashion show. So these people would walk by these models.
Because they're like trying to sell these sweaters,
So
these
they'd go by
alpaca
Angora
sweaters.
and they'd walk by, and they were really, So I went back to the restroom, and I said, "Hey, can I participate?" And so they're like, "Sure, I guess." So I put on this bizarre sweater and these pants and this hat, and I came walking down
And, like,
and
strutting,
and everybody was clapping and laughing, and my kids looked up and they just burst out into laughter, and I thought, Dad's willing to go there
Right.
Yeah.
to have fun, to entertain us, and to
Yeah.
make the trip more jovial.
Right.
And so I think humor's extremely important, and I stress that. And sometimes I don't, sometimes the jokes don't land, but I think it's important. So those are a couple of things.
And that makes it so fun.
So I want to tag team on the risk taking. So my kids all say, "Dad, I did a U," or "I did a denim," where I knocked on a door that nobody thought I could or should, and I'm just going to ask, because this is one of the things. And you and I talk about this. You don't know until you ask.
Yeah.
And so they've seen me take the bull by the horns and I said, "Let's just go over there and ask." At first they look shocked, like, "Huh?" And now they do it.
Wow,
They
that's
do it themselves.
great.
I see both of your kids doing that.
Oh, yeah.
in a heartbeat.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. I'm going to say qualities to make a good dad. Showing that you love them. I guess, again, I think about my upbringing and how nice it would have been to just be reassured that I love you. And I randomly say that to my wife, to my mother-in-law, to my kids. just because I feel like you can have negative tapes. I'm intentional. Here's another word, intentional. I feel like I want to plant a kind of tape loop that when they're in a struggle situation, they can draw from it. I had, again, I don't want a sob story here, but I had only negative ones, so I had a lot of work to get rid of those. So I thought, well, why even burden kids with that in the first place? Why don't you give them good ones? Life's going to be a struggle anyway. It's just going to be hard. So give them positive tape loops to hold on to. And also my last bit of it, not advice, but this is what I think makes a great dad, is being willing to pivot, being willing to change. I had, back in the day, I worked at a children's home, and we were all trained by social workers on really good stuff. I still have this book. But, you know, then you get into the trenches and you realize, well, this is good advice, but now I think I got to adjust. And so being willing to adjust, and coupled with that is being willing to apologize. So, like, I remember one time I disciplined Cambria, and it was a little over the top, and I went into her room and I said, honey, sometimes daddies make mistakes, and I just got to say, I'm sorry. And I just thought, I could see her, you know, it landed.
Yeah.
You can see when these messages land, right?
You can.
So anyway, that's off the top of my head, those are a couple of things.
Those are amazing.
Yeah, I think the love thing is crucial, and that probably should have been the first one I led with. But I remember putting our kids down every night, and we had 3 books and 3 songs for each, and that was that loop for them. They knew that they could rely on that consistency. And then when we say goodnight, we'd say, we're so proud of you, and you're loved. You'll always be loved. That's the last thing they pretty much heard from us every night. So the idea you're going to sleep with this, putting your head in the pillow and going to sleep going, my mother and father love me. What more is there?
That's like gold.
They care about me.
Yeah, that's gold.
It is gold. And there was another one you always like to say, Ken, that I remember. It was like expectations and explanations about those expectations. I don't know if you want to vamp on that.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up where there were a lot of expectations placed on me being a minister's son, and there weren't explanations that were provided. It was just simply be at church at 9:15 in the morning. Don't look at a woman, with lust. That's a sin. Why would you want to be with a girl? That's not. There were a lot of things that were just assumed in my family that my father didn't sit down and explain to me. So I wanted to make sure I explained to our kids, listen, when we say we want you to be in at 11 p.m., it's not because we're being hard asses. It's because we love you.
Right, and this is
It's because we want to give you this, we
care about you, safe environment.
Exactly. We want to make sure you know that we want you to be back. We want you to be okay, you're safe, but that you are loved and that we are thinking of you. And that the explanation is that. And I didn't get those explanations. My parents were very busy, but we made sure that explanations were tagged onto pretty much every demand or every rule or every chore. It's like, this is why we want you. It's not just doing a chore. You're doing it because you're doing it for the family. You're a team member. So that's how I was raised, which is nothing compared to this young man. But
even with a good upbringing, you still have to adapt. You
Absolutely.
still, and like you had a great upbringing, but then you saw, well, this was kind of something I could improve on, so that you can always improve.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so something that people talk a lot about is quality time. And how do you all define quality time with your children? What does yours look like?
Mine was very similar to this man, my hero. Story time was a big deal. Reading stories, so much so Garrison, sometimes I'd find Garrison reading to Cambria. We read so much to them. So quality time. Yeah. It's in the average moments. It's not in the spectacular moments. It's the day-to-day, showing up, have a great day. Like you just said, you're going to sleep, think about this, you're loved and I'm proud of you. To me, that's quality time. Well, showing up, being there is, you can't have quality time without your presence. So that was a big deal for me. And I know you shared that this was a thing for you too, that your dad just wasn't there. So I'm sure you then saw that and adjusted, right, as a parent.
Well, I mean, when I met Ken, I was 18 and he was 20, and he just gave me a lot of quality time. And all of a sudden I'm like, whoa. this is the person I want to go through my life with.
And that's how it's supposed to.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
That's what quality.
So what do you think?
I think that absolutely all of the above, and one of the things, just quality time. My father spent some quality time with us in after church. He was free for like 24 hours, so we would get the Sunday funnies, the cartoons, and he would sit down and he would read them to us. And that was a big deal because we finally felt like his burden, if you will, it was to us, of a sermon and being the dutiful pastor had lifted for a small, amount of time. And so he was able to do that. So I felt that was, crucial for my parenting, our parenting. And one of the things that we did when the two older kids were growing up is we had quality time with each one. Mm-hmm. We would say, you take Xander, I'll take Mackenzie, we'll go to lunch, you go to lunch with him, or I will do her special thing. And then we're basically saying, we're going to take time out of our day. We're going to take time and focus on you because you are important. Mm-hmm. And I think that sends a message, like my mom and dad are doing this, this, and this, and this, but yet they're willing to say, this is time for us. Mm-hmm. And they're focusing on me. I must be important. Mm-hmm. I must be a key member of this family.
Right. Just to tag onto that, one of the things I feel like is super important in our family is if you make a commitment to your kids, unlike what your dad did to you, if I say I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
You be a person of your word. Mm-hmm. That I see that land a big time. And like you said, the message is, look, I'm busy and when I play it at churches, whatever, I'm in front of a lot of people, but I make sure they know when I say I'm going to be with you, I'm showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's key.
Be a man of your word.
Yeah. Man of your word. I love it. Now, man of your word.
Yeah.
Can you share a moment when you really felt like a dad? Whether it was the first time or just some time that really made it like, whoa, I'm a dad.
I can't think of one but being in those moments in the day, like throwing the baseball with my son,
Yeah.
Something that I did, and I didn't have my father, but my brother and I did it all the time. But throwing the baseball, kicking the soccer with Ruby, reading with Mackenzie, reading Harry Potter to the entire family. They were captivated. And I knew that this was gelling us, like this is, right? It's an adventure, and I'm telling it.
Bonding.
Bonding. Mm-hmm. And also being a captain of a boat, and taking the kids over to Catalina felt like a real responsibility, made me feel like a father. Somebody that is going to take care of. I'm responsible. We're going to go out. We're going to have an adventure, but we're going to, we're going to grow. We're going to, through this experience together, but we're doing it together. So I think when it comes down to when do I feel like a father the most, it's when we are together as a family like we were the last couple of days. Mm-hmm. It makes me really feel like I'm a father and I'm part of this incredible gift that God has given me, i.e. family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as far as beautiful answer, I'm going to say yes. And the first time I guess I felt like I was a father or a dad was when the kids were in Sunday school, and I was volunteering. And I would just watch them do their thing, and my kids would see I'm trying to be fun with all the other kids. And you know how this goes because I know you volunteered at the same church as I did. All the kids, now they want you. And I made sure all the other kids know, I'll play, but this is my guy, this is my gal. Aww. But just being in those environments where I had to make this up. I had to what do you do? Oh, I guess you volunteer in the school. I volunteered in the school, and I volunteered in their Sunday school. But I felt like, wow, I'm being a dad. I'm showing them that it was just really cool to feel that.
Yes, I know. It's very cozy. It's got like this cozy feeling when you're there with all these kids, and you're just like, oh, I'm here, and this is my purpose, and it's simple. There's nothing else around. I know what my job is here, and it's a lot of kids. And
parenting is choices, isn't it? So, I feel a million different choices presenting themselves, and you go, well, I'm going to always default to what you said, Ken, making sure they know they're a priority, and boy, does that feel good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. Yeah. Oh, you guys are super dads.
It's not easy, especially when you have to, discipline. That's tough, and it's so important to be, together, a unified front, but it hurts. You know,
Well,
to give a kid a timeout, or to
Right.
you know, to ground them, which we really didn't have to do. Grounding much, but to discipline the kids, it was really
Well, what about what disciple means, where discipline comes from?
Yeah.
Disciple is to love.
Yeah, and it's to follow and to so I always found that to be one of the most difficult things of parenting, because you just, you know, you see the kids just cringe, but ultimately it sends them the message that you are cared for, you're loved, and we care so much that we're trying to, you know, teach you ways that will make you a better person, and you know.
We just really had timeouts. That was the main
timeouts,
thing when they were younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up being spanked.
Oh my God, I was beaten.
I was beaten, you know.
My mom had a hairbrush.
But spanked.
My uncle would use a belt. I mean, it was like that.
Oh, my dad would. To this day, I can't even watch Ken take off his belt. I'm like, I cannot. I just don't
So I
take
have
off
to
your
go.
belt.
I have to go in the closet. Excuse myself.
Because I remember that thing coming off was definitely
Right, that was a warning.
terrifying.
It's coming. But what I wanted to also just say is that your, what was it with the explanations?
Expectations without
So when we would
explanation.
discipline our kids, we would explain why we were doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It wasn't just do it because your father said so, or wait till your father gets home. It was like, this is why you're going to have a timeout. This is whatever.
Yeah.
And
that's
try
right.
to take the emotion out of it. And that's a hard thing
Oh,
to do.
yeah.
Yeah,
If you can step back and say, all right, son, okay, daughter, this is why we're doing this. Instead of going, you know what, right, you know, and it's hard.
Yeah.
Because you're emotional in
Yeah,
it, because you're
during
like,
the
is this
moment.
my offspring?
Right.
Are they really doing this?
Yeah.
This is embarrassing.
Right.
This is my legacy.
Right.
Okay, speaking of legacy, that's funny you'd say that. Because I'm wondering if you guys have a legacy that you would like to, that you hope to leave for your children. That's that's kind of heavy.
That's
It's
a big one, but I
thing.
think
It's a
I've
big one.
covered a little bit that I want to make sure my kids know and feel loved. And that's why I said, at night, you're loved, you'll always be loved. And if I can leave that with them and to teach them to shine, to always shine, to shine on, that's a beautiful song that you wrote. It
With
makes me
Jefferson.
think of, you guys wrote and performed. It makes me think of a way that I want to leave that notion to my kids: shine on, no matter all of the garbage that's out there and the division, and we're certainly living through it now. But find a way to be a beacon. Find a way to shine on, and I hope I have provided that example in some way, shape, or form to them, and they can see through some dark times because they know that they are loved. We're loved if I'm no longer here, but they will always be, you know, they'll always be loved. So that's kind of a mushy way of putting it. And like I said, hopefully they will have some fun and see humor in things and carry on in a humorous fashion.
Those are two lights. It's like, keep life light. Make sure don't forget about the lightness of life, the unbearable lightness of being, but also shine your light. You know. That's great. Yeah. We got two lights here.
Oh my gosh!
Light and
I was just going to say,
shine on, baby.
Shine on.
That would be my answer completely. And I'm going to add two quick things. One is to show them not only that they're loved, but watching me love their mom.
Aww.
So that they go,
yes.
oh, that's how you do relationships.
Yes.
In fact, my kids say, you've ruined me, Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
Because now I'm out in the dating world and I want that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's too many posers out there. Anyway.
Our kids have said the same exact thing.
That's a great one to bring up.
Well, if you're going to ruin them, that's not a bad way to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I'm going to say is they see me always searching, and you guys do it too, searching for things to do to better society, volunteering, you know, taking food to a food pantry,
Giving
whatever.
back, doing the podcast.
And they doing the podcast. And so they know, oh yeah, that's a part of life.
Yeah.
That has to be incorporated in the big picture of my life. And I think those are great legacies.
Being an example, you know, the film that we made, you know, we're willing to take a risk and go out and bring this story, The Heart of Nuba, the film that we made, to bring this to the world and show what's happening and show that every life is valuable.
And your kids saw you do that.
And they see
and
us
it was
do
a sacrifice to make that
They
film.
saw us do it because guess what?
Yeah.
I'm over there in a foxhole. I'm getting a story. Somebody's back here with 3 kids, making sure that everything goes well for weeks on end. So it's a teamwork, and that's ultimately, as you said, that they look at you and go, gee, how can I find him? That's a pretty damn good legacy if they're thinking that.
What a compliment, right?
Yeah.
Yes. It's beautiful. Beautiful, you guys. You guys have these are great insights. I'm really enjoying this, and I'm discovering new things about my own husband I've been with for many, many moons. Something that Sue contributed to this, who is Jefferson's wife, is she said, what is a great Father's Day gift? And I'm just thinking, like, when I go and just even look at the cards, it's like they're all about either like golf or fishing or beer or the TV remote, or so what is it?
Four great things.
Four great things.
Ken's he's all for that.
Can
I
you
know
give
that
me each
neither
card
of you
like
guys
that?
really golf. So many people golf now.
No, but I love to fish.
You love to fish.
I haven't done so.
None of the above.
But,
Yeah.
I love
Jefferson,
to fish.
no beer, no
I don't
TV
like to
remote.
watch TV
no.
so much.
No.
but,
You need to get him a new guitar.
Well, it's funny. Okay, so she asked me this because every year my kids go, Dad, what do you want? What do you want? I don't want anything. Oh, Dad! They're so frustrated with it. But I do tell them, look, you're my present.
Yeah.
And which is not satisfying
I
to
just
them.
want to be together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they don't want.
But that's
they
nothing
want,
to wrap
no,
up in.
Dad, tell me something, and they usually mean some tchotchke thing.
Yeah.
Happy Father's Day.
Yeah.
So next time they ask me, I'm going to say, you know what I want for Father's Day? An outing. I want to go to an escape room. I want to blah, blah, blah.
Oh, that's such a good
I
idea.
want an outing because one of the coolest things that Sue and I have decided throughout our life is we want to spend our resources on experiences with the kids. That's what you remember.
Yeah, this is true.
Travel or whatever.
Yeah.
So if they ask me, I don't know if they're going to ask me, but if they do, because they usually anyway, I don't want some tchotchke thing. Here's a tie. Then they feel like, oh, I've done it. Happy Father's Day.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
No.
Bye-bye. Okay, I love that.
No, you're not off the hook that easy.
Yeah, no, I think experiences, being together, like
Right?
we're going to be together for Father's Day, and that thrills me knowing that we're all together.
Exactly.
One of the things I wanted to bring up, though, that a gift, a legacy that you two provide so generously is music.
Oh.
That's one of those things that I wish I would have pursued it further and would have been able to provide that for my kids, because you do that, and the kids, all of them are musically talented, but some of them are pursuing it, and for you, your kids, that's one of the legacies. I think they'll look at that. You could sit down and play. Oh, there's a piano over there. Dad's going to sit down and entertain us. Or there's a whole flock of people that are in this congregation. You're going to sit down and you're going to minister to them. That's a legacy, and that's you both provide that, and you've taken that and parlayed it into this podcast, which is a real legacy. They were going to be able to go back and look at these things and go, wow, every single time they put a podcast out, their intentions were to improve this world. That's a legacy.
Thanks,
Thank
Ken,
you.
for the legacy. I
Thank
love
you,
that.
Mr.
Okay, well,
Producer.
that's circling back a bit to the legacy, and now we need to know, Ken, because you're just trying to avoid. What do you want for a Father's Day gift?
Oh.
What is a good Father's Day gift?
Anything that has to do with fishing, golf, beer, or a TV remote.
How do you remember that?
Well
Amazing.
said.
Did you already answer? And I think you didn't
No,
answer.
I answered with, I just want to be together. And
Yeah.
I love the idea of experiences. And I think this world is kind of going that way.
Yeah.
Ownership, experiences, more of the things.
Okay.
So that
I
to
like
me,
that. So being together.
means the world. But, a bar of gold is fine too. I don't know.
Gold
I forgot to
bullion.
add that part.
A bar of gold. Okay, so aside from a bar of gold, now what's one thing you would want to share with the dads who might be listening right now? Something important for dads to hear would be helpful to them? Words of wisdom.
Well, here's what I'm going to say. My journey may not be your journey. So my advice may or may not land with you, and no harm, no foul. So I will say, in my particular journey, and I've touched on this, it's super important to pivot, to adapt to the situation, come in with a plan, and be ready to change. As you approach, I have a son and a daughter, and those dynamics are different. And so you can come in with some sort of strategy, like this is the way it's going to be. Be willing to adapt to that. And then also give yourself some time to recharge. Find ways so that you can come back fully ready to engage. It's not wrong to take a breather. to find something that, and your kids will respect you for it, I think. Oh, that's part of life too.
Yeah.
You need
it's not just about me.
Mom and dad, right? Mom and dad are not just at my beck and call constantly.
Yeah.
There's like a little. Oh, they're going to have adult time. Mom and dad are going to go out to dinner this Friday. I think kids want that.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah.
They don't want to be catered to. Well, I shouldn't say that, but I think they would. But I think we need to break them of that if that's their tendency. So finding time, especially with your wife, or maybe it's just go hiking. Like you and I used to love to run, but you know what I mean. Like go to the gym. It's just do things for yourself because that resonates with your kids.
You got to put your oxygen mask on first before you put it on the kids. Those kinds of things. Self-care. Make sure you can't help others if you don't help yourself first and get yourself right.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
And it's very easy to forget that when you're parenting. It is like chaos, and there's always another fire to put out.
Yeah.
And if you're a real dad who's really there, you're doing all that, and it's just, and then you're also dealing with your wife's, like spiraling on whatever that is upsetting them potentially. Like I'm just speaking for myself.
No,
I'm not saying your wife, but I do that, and Ken's got to deal with me and the kids, and it's
you got to be a team player.
Yeah,
you got to be a team player. That's the biggest thing. And I'll never forget being growing up in Wellington, Ohio, and hearing when my parents put us down, they would close the door, and I would hear them giggle and laugh, and my dad would blow on my mom's stomach, and she would laugh, and she'd say, "Robert, Bob, stop that," and I would fall asleep with that in my mind, like
so amazing.
that they are in love, they're taking time for themselves, like you were saying. It's critical. It's critical. One of the things that I
it's beautiful.
thought about growing up, when we raising children, I thought about, I'm not only raising a child right now, I'm raising a young adult. And an adult eventually. And so how best to pattern them, how best to give them wisdom, how best to be an example for them to be as good of an adult as possible. And so it's sometimes hard to get past the, oh my gosh, he's going to walk, sooner. When does he read? The other kids aren't. Oh my gosh, he got this and I'm out there. It's hard to project that, but we've done this where we would pray for a person that would come into each one of their lives and be that special something, that wife or husband or friend or whatever. And so to actually think beyond these stages we get so caught up in, these little stages, and they all add up to a big stage, which is adulthood. How best can I prepare them for adulthood? Which is something that you don't really think about.
Right.
But I did probably a decent job at, but could have done better.
Isn't it always like that?
Always
though?
do
We always? I mean, honestly,
Oh, it's
there's
like,
just so
if I
many
could have
things.
that moment back.
There-
If I
there's
could have that
another-
opportunity.
Absolutely.
There's another bit of
I could have
advice.
handled that better.
Right. Give yourself a break. You did the best you could given the information you had. And then just, keep doing better.
Yeah.
Keep doing
Don't
better.
get down on yourself because
Right.
Yeah.
One thing,
tomorrow's a new day.
I did think of one more thing I wanted to add, and
Good.
that is don't compare your children to anyone else.
No.
Let them be who they are. My
Yes.
dad, as you know, pro football player, if I wasn't playing football, I was completely a disappointment. In fact, when I told him I wanted to be an actor and a musician, he said, "That's from the devil." So when my kids came along, now I'm a musician. So I thought I could, and I exposed my kids to lots of things, sports and everything. But if they didn't want to play, I exposed them to piano and guitar. If they didn't pick it up or go for it, I didn't say, "You're a loser. Why the hell can't you play this? Play!" And no, so just, it's been such a joy finding out who they are.
Yeah.
And not saying you got to be like me.
Yeah.
And they get the message. I mean, they appreciate. You're right. They appreciate what I can do, but I don't project on them. Nor do I compare them to other kids.
Right.
Like you just mentioned, like so and so is reading faster than them. I'm like, well, I have to let go of that kind of stuff. I'm not going to pretend like it didn't affect me.
No.
But like I said, you get a million choices a day, and you say, I'm choosing not to go there.
Yeah.
Because there's such a pressure to say, why aren't you first in your class? Why are you? Where are all the A's?
Yeah.
Show me the. And I'm just thinking, man, let them be who they are and celebrate it.
Amen. I'll hitchhike on that. That was more of that era too. We weren't expected to be in the birthing room. We weren't expected to be on the grunt. We were at work, and we would come home and have our martini and smoke a cigarette, and then moms would take care of everything. So those expectations your father had on you, my father had on me. When was I going to be when was I going to receive the calling to be a minister?
Oh,
Really?
100%. Oh, yeah.
So, it was from my we had 3 generations of ministers, and I broke that. My brother and I broke that lineage.
So you
So
let
we
the
had
family
that pressure,
down.
but I
you're
think
saying.
that was more of that era.
That's
Your
crazy.
father said the eldest boy, he's going to come into the
run the company.
and run the company.
Yeah.
And he was a doctor.
We were all expected, actually,
He
to
went
run
through every single stage of becoming a doctor,
Yeah.
and he said, "That's great, but you're going to run this business."
He was doing
now."
his residency,
He
and
was
he
doing
made
his
him come back.
residency. So I think it was
As a
Or like
doctor
asked him to.
sleeping,
And
you
then
know,
my brother did it. He wanted to be there for my dad.
Yeah, I get
and that
it.
was your dutiful,
But
you know.
that was more of that era too, where
It was.
the expectation was you're going to do what your dad did, and your mother, and you're going to follow that, and so I think we've moved on from that a little bit, which is great. Embrace who they are, and especially in this day and age, with there's so much coming at these kids, and you need to be there to say, put the phone down, turn off the TV. Let's focus on what really matters, and that's relationships. And my opinion is your relationship with God.
Yeah.
And so anyway,
It's funny
don't want to be
'cause-
too preachy, because maybe I am a.
I taught
Minister.
my kids early on that commercials and advertising is just getting you to want something you don't need. So my kids will laugh at this, but when they were younger, during the commercial break, I would yell at the TV, "You're just trying to sell me something." And then they started doing it.
Oh, that's really cute. I didn't know you did. That's so
Oh, yeah.
fun.
And now, thank God for the mute button. Commercial break?
Yeah,
I don't think
or
so.
thank goodness for
Except for the
Netflix
Super
and things
Bowl.
like that. Super Bowl, you might watch
I might be tempted.
Well, you guys are like the Super Bowl of dads. We just
Ah,
had right
well
here,
played.
everybody. The
saw what you
Super
did
Bowl of
there.
dads.
Yeah.
Now, you see what I did there? No, but honestly, after hearing you guys, I'm just so happy to have gotten these stories and hear this, and now our audience can know why I wanted to do this, and I convinced them to let me do this. So there you have it,
I'm
folks.
glad we did.
Yeah, me too.
Now you all know a bit more about 2 of my favorite dads, Ken and Jefferson. Happy Father's Day to you
Thank
both.
you.
I hope your Father's Day is amazing. And Ken and Jefferson, you are both crazy amazing. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Katrina.
Today's episode of the Crazy Amazing Humans podcast is brought to you via Apple, Google, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. All episodes are free, so make sure and subscribe today.
So that's our podcast, everyone. Big thanks to my hubby, Ken, and to you, Jefferson, for sharing your experience as dads, guys. Thank you. It was so much fun.
It was
So
fun.
much fun.
Absolutely.
Joy.
And thank you, Kat, for sharing your insights as a daughter to a dad.
Yeah. So now, crazy, amazing humans, what do you think? What do you all think about this
Right.
conversation? What are your thoughts about fatherhood, either about your dad or about being a dad, or who are the important father figures in your life, right? Please make sure to leave comments. We want to know. We do. And we'd love to hear what your thoughts are.
Absolutely. Remember to make sure and subscribe to the Crazy Amazing Humans podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And as always, this week we want to encourage you to find one thing that you can do to extend kindness and love in the world. I'm Jefferson Denim.
And I'm Katrina Carlson. Stay healthy, stay connected, and we'll see you next time right here on the Crazy Amazing Humans podcast. Thanks for being with us.
I want you to feel, I want you to feel something crazy, crazy, amazing.
If you have any questions or comments about today's episode, please make sure to write us at crazyamazinghumans@gmail.com.